Hello and welcome back. In this video, we're going to talk about branching. And in Ruby, when we say branching, we mean if, else conditionals, all right? So if a condition, let's say if true, then execute some code, else execute some other code. And for this conditional to end, for the if block to end, you have to put an end. So similar to methods or block code in Ruby, which is the end is necessary at the bottom. And you can do this without the else, right? If you're just checking for a condition, then, and if you don't have other conditions to check for, then you can just do if something, then write some code. So let's start with that. Let's say I just want to say puts hello. All right. So if true, puts hello. So obviously this condition is a pass because it's true. So let's run it and see. Ruby main.rb. Check it out. Hello. All right. Now let's introduce the else condition to this. So if true puts hello, else puts bye. Now let's run this. It says hello again because if true, which is the case, puts hello. Now what happens is when this condition of truth is met, it just executes that expression. And then when that is done, it simply skips everything else within the block and goes to the end. Okay? So if I puts la 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 over here, and then if I run this, see it says hello and then la la la, meaning, so it did this because it found this condition to be true, skipped this, went to the end, and then went on its merry way and did whatever is after the end. So let's get the else to work. So if true, I can simply make this not true with that exclamation. Error saving, failed to fetch. I don't know what that is, but let's try it. Okay, see, not true. So this evaluated to false. So it skipped this part of the code, went to the else, and then saw what's in else. It said bye, puts bye. So it did that. Then it went to the end and then executed whatever was after the end, right? So bye, la la la. So you can do this with a variable. You can say condition equals false. So I can say if condition, then hello, else bye. If I run this, there you go, bye, because this is false. I can turn this to true. Hello. Okay, perfect. Now in this scenario, there may be situations where you need to test for more than condition, right? So I can say something like another condition. And then I will set this to true as well. So how do you test for both of these conditions? Meaning, for me to execute this line, puts hello, I want to test for two conditions. How do we do that? I can say if condition and another condition. Now if I run this, you see both of them are true, so it gave me the output that I want, hello, and then went to the end. All right? Now, what if one of these are false? Say another condition is false. Now if I run this, check it out, it gave me bye, it went to else, which means this condition, which is true, and, so this is the and keyword, and another condition, which is false, which means true and false evaluated to false. So you have bye, right? It went to the else clause. So what are some other conditionals like this? So if true and false evaluates to false, what about true or false? Which means if one condition or another condition are true, then puts hello, otherwise puts bye. How do you do that? You can signify or in Ruby using these two pipes. Okay, so this is an or. I'm going to clear this up so you can see this clearly. Okay, so let's run this. I'm expecting this to evaluate to true because true or false evaluates to true. Run this. There you go. Okay. Now I'm going to change this to something more helpful. this evaluated to true. Then I can say this evaluated to false. So if true or false evaluates to true, and we saw true and false evaluated to false. Now what about false and false? So I'll set this to false. And then put an AND here. If I run this evaluated to false. So false and false evaluates to false. All right. Now what if I turn these to not false? Okay. If not condition and not another condition. And we know both of these are false. So not false and not false. What does that evaluate to? This evaluated to true. Perfect. So what's something else I can try? What about not false or not false? Okay. What about that? This evaluated to true as well, which is what we were expecting. What about not false or true? What about that? If I run this evaluated to true as well. So these are conditionals that are going to come up every now and then. Now that we've looked at some of these evaluation and how you can use not, and or to pretty much form any kind of combination you like. And of course, later on, you're going to see how you can use brackets as well. Whoops, sorry, I meant parentheses, not brackets. I confuse that every now and then. So anyway, you can use this as well, right? And then have another condition after this. So we're not going to get that deep right now. We're going to keep it at this level. Now let's look at a situation where you wanted to test for two conditions, and if none of them were met, then you do something else. How do you do that? Let's say, I'll get rid of this actually. Command right square bracket. Okay. Let's say name equals Masroor. So I can say if name equals Masroor, then I can say put welcome to the program Masroor. But what if I want to have another output? Let's say for Jack, I can say else if. So that's ELS, okay? And then if, not ELSE, if. So else if name equals Jack, say I want to say puts welcome to the program Jack. So those are the only two I want to test for, Masroor and Jack. And for everyone else, I simply want to say, welcome to the program user. How do I do that? So else basically captures all other scenarios. Therefore, I can say else puts welcome to the program user. Okay, and then put an end at the end. Okay, so now that if I run this, you see welcome to the program Masroor because name is Masroor. But if I change this to Jack, welcome to the program Jack. And you can keep adding this on. Else if name, whoops, I made a mistake there. Syntax error. Else if name equals Evgeny. And I'll say put go back to helping students Evgeny. Okay, else puts welcome to the program. If I change the name to Evgeny, go back to helping students, Evgeny, right? Now this is one way and the most popular way of doing branching, right? There is another way in Ruby. Instead of using else if, you can use case. You can grab a variable, as the case, and case Masroor, you can do this, case Jack, you can do this, and keep going that way. I'm not going to show that here, but that's another way of doing this as well. But if and else if is pretty much near universal in all programming languages as to how basic branching is done. Okay, now that you're familiar with branching, let's go back to our calculator program where we have a situation where we're asking the user for input. So let me grab the code from here. Let's see. Go back here, paste it. Simple calculator, puts, enter your first number. Now here, I want to prompt the user to check what they want to do before I perform a multiplication or division or whatever. So I can do something like this. Puts, what do you want to do? And then enter 1 for multiply, 2 for addition, 3 for subtraction. So I have these three cases. Enter 1 for multiplication, 2 for addition, 3 for subtraction, and then I can prompt the user entry equals gets.chomp. Now I want to take this user entry and see what they have entered first. So I can say puts you selected, and then user entry. Okay, so if I run this, let me clear this up. Whoops. Please enter your first number, 10, 20. What do you want to do? 1 to multiply, 2 for addition, 3 for subtraction. If I say 3, okay, I can get the selection to show up. That's good. That's a good first step. Now I want to basically call my method to multiply, add, subtract, or whatever based on the entry. And this is where the if condition comes in. So if user entry, remember user entry I'm getting as a string. So if user entry equals 1, or I can convert the entry to an integer and do this as well, then I can say puts you have chosen to multiply, right? And else if user entry equals 2, put you have chosen to add. Else if user entry equals 3, put you have chosen to subtract. Okay, so let's see how that works. I don't really need this particular line anymore since I'm testing for this below. Okay, so if I run this now, please enter your first number, 10, 20. What do you want to do? 1, multiply. You've chosen to multiply. Perfect. So my conditional is working, but notice how I just have 1, 2, 3. What if I did this? 10, 20. What do you want to do? Let's say I said 10. It does nothing. So I need another condition here for else. And I want to say puts invalid entry. Right? So then if I repeat this situation, 10, 20, 10, invalid entry. Perfect. So we've successfully used branching to display what the user is asking to do. Now, the next step is to actually call the method, the methods that we defined over here. The next step is to call these methods to perform the arithmetic function that the user wants. And that I'm going to leave you as a homework assignment. All right. You've already learned how to build the methods. You know how to call the methods, and you know how to test the user's input. So the homework assignment is based on the user's input, call the method, and then display what the user is trying to do, or the value. So if they want to multiply 10 and 20, your output has to be you have chosen to multiply 10 and 20, and the result is 200. Okay? Something like that. So once you complete that homework assignment and complete this program, please paste your code to the Q&A forum as a post on this video so we can take a look. All right, and hope you enjoyed this video and learning about branching. I'll see you in the next video.